This movie is about wise, borderline magic lesbian aunties and their ability to stop supernatural entities. Now, I myself am lucky enough to have one of these aunties, so I'm glad someone is finally bringing to light this well kept industry secret. I'm not saying you must have one to survive a paranormal run in, so if you don't have one, don't go out baiting traps with bunnies, gift cards, and flannies in the hope of catching one. I'm just saying you'd probably be a lot safer if you did. If you don't have an LGBTQI auntie, that's fine. It's 2023. You live your lifestyle how you want. All I ask is that you keep your lifestyle behind closed doors and out of my schools, away from my kid. You know, I don't want him coming home and me having to explain why his best friend's auntie has a husband named Lachlan and why she was unable to stop him from being taken by a malevolent spirit from Central American law. It's too complicated. I don't want to deal with it. I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding. This movie is not about magical lesbian aunties. In my defense, though, it's not about magical aunties. It's just more about the terrifying psychological and physical effects of pregnancy that we as a society have deemed that it's just commonplace now. Think about it. When you're pregnant, your body behaves and changes in unexpected ways. Your nutrients are being siphoned to feed some completely separate organism. You're feeling and doing things and you don't know why you're doing them. That's the standard pregnancy experience. It's also the basis of every body horror from the 1960s to now. I think that's probably why it's such a fertile foundation for horror films. You know, you've got Rosemary's Baby, A Quiet Place, The Unborn. They're all based around the horrors that come with being pregnant and the creation of life. It's wild. It's so wild as an experience. If you came up to me and said, Jake, you're going to create life, in my head I think about some Frankenstein-like scenario where I flick a switch and a big flesh golem roars to life. But honestly, for something that all families go through, pregnancy at times can be way scarier than anything Mary Shelley could have come up with. Anyway, back to this film. Huesera follows Valeria and Raul, a young couple who, after struggling with fertility issues, they're excited to find out that Valeria is with child. Unfortunately, however, the joy is short-lived because Valeria starts to get this feeling that she's become the fascination of a malevolent spirit. And then from there, what ensues is pretty bloody good supernatural horror. This movie's really good. If you enjoy cracking your fingers or cracking your neck or your back, this is the movie for you. The entity in this film has such a satisfying click-clacking of bones whenever it moves around, and it's fucking horrific. It's got that contortionist thing going on that lots of horror movies do. Seriously, I got arthritis just watching this film. That's how much cracking and popping goes. The scares are solid. It sort of reminded me of The Grudge a bit. Even though the scares are creepy, they're not frequent enough for me to call it one of the all-time scariest films. But it does do some cool things. It even does something I don't think I've seen before in a horror movie, and that's a double jump scare, which I thought it got me. It was super effective. It was like a 1-2 punch of jump scares, so that's pretty fucking cool. Watch it for that. One thing I did find really frustrating about this movie, however, is the fact that for almost the entire movie, everyone treats Valeria like a hysterical crazy woman, and I know that was probably the intention, to show you how pregnancy can be, or being a mother even, is extremely isolating, and how people start to value the baby over the mother. But fuck that, it got me so mad. Especially when everyone around Valeria was forcing her to give up major parts of her identity and make her stop doing hobbies and things she was really good at and enjoyed. And the problem was that took me out a little bit because I was so mad for Valeria that I didn't give a shit about what happened to her loved ones or even the baby. By the end of it, I was I was all on Team Valeria. And I don't think that was the intention. I think I went too far the other way. I also think this movie could have been made better by cutting off the subtitle "The Bone Woman." I think because that made me think it would be based around some sort of existing entity in lore, and we'd get to know the backstory and the rules, which I fucking love in horror movie. I love it when you get some lore on the creature or some rules to play by on how to beat it. But it doesn't touch on that at all. So you can't help feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity. But if you remove that subtitle, that would fix all that, to be honest. That being said, the actor who plays Valeria, Natalia Solian, is fucking phenomenal. This whole film is basically centered around what happens when no one is around. So if she'd been bad, this movie would have fallen flat. But I mean, she was on point. So she's a star, so there was no problems there. This movie also had an ending I didn't see coming, which is so rare for this type of supernatural horror. So whether you like it or not, it's awesome. It's awesome seeing a new ending in horror. I really like that. I didn't see it coming. I did not see the ending coming at all. There's quite a bit of critic hype and love for this horror movie, and that's understandable because it's great. Not only is it a great film, it's also a feature film debut. I didn't know that going in. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that without actually researching this film after I'd watched it. But 2023 must be the year of cinematic prodigies, because if you wanted to feel really bad about your creative output, you could always do a double bill with this and Talk to Me and just wallow in the fact that there's filmmakers out there who are knocking it out of the park without a warm-up. God, amazing for a debut. Even better than wallowing. Fuck, get inspired. Do the thing. This is a great touchstone for that. I believe in you. You can do it. Who would I recommend this to? I would recommend this to anyone who thinks the idea of like a Mexican-based The Grudge is exciting. That's pretty much what this is. If you want to support debut filmmakers, it's another good one for that. If you're the person in the family who often gets asked, when are you having kids, and you don't want kids, this is an ammo chest for you. Here is all the ammo to stop those conversations in this film. Who shouldn't watch this movie? If you don't like supernatural movies, you like slashers or like home invasion movies, this isn't that. It's a supernatural horror. If you're currently pregnant, be careful going into this. Fuck, this might be the scariest film of all time. If you're currently pregnant, this might tip it over. If you don't watch this, if you hate subtitles and you refuse to bend the knee to the Duolingo owl, I get it. He pops up all the time. I get it. But this movie is all in Spanish. If you have misophonia, specifically around like the cracking and popping of bones, it's like 75% of the creeps that come from this movie. So wide berth for that if you've got misophonia. All in all, I really like this film. Even though it's not an all-timer for me, there's so much to like about it, and I think the writers Michelle Garza Cervera and Abia Castillo have ensured I'll watch the next one. I'll watch whatever they come out with. Like, the fact that this is a debut film is fucking crazy. It's so good. God, people are amazing. People make such good films. If you're on the fence about this or are not sure on anything I've said, watch the trailer. It's actually, I watched it after I watched the film. It's a good trailer. It doesn't give too much away, but sort of gives you the vibe of the movie. So it's one of the few that I would recommend watching if you're not sure. If you do end up watching it, let me know what you think. It's a really interesting film, and foreign horror is really fucking good. Peace.